Hi guys, I did my internship at Juniper Networks, and today I'm discussing my project which I did there is DNS Validation and Security. And about Juniper, Juniper is a networking company, right? It creates networking products like routers, switches, and many other security products. Our most selling product is M series Ethernet switches and routers. Also, I worked on SRX series, which is a security routers, and our major software is Junos operating system, which runs on every networking device, just with the different modifications. It's written in pure C language, and the aim of this project is to find clients communicating with the botnets and malicious domains by monitoring the DNS traffic, right, and subsequent communication. Now, this DNS based on the DNS traffic, right? We get the domain name and get the score of those domains from a server. Based on that score, it will decide whether to drop that connection or whether to deeper inspect that connection. We can do it's kind of like a preliminary elimination process, whether to even inspect this domain or it's just straight harmful and just reject it. And in this project, you can also use other networking devices to probe the server for the score, and scores are updated via some plugins which will which will be created. I created some demo plugins. For example, as you can see in this block diagram, this is my client and this is my server. On the server side, client has to these are host which whose network traffic will be routed through this client, and this client will ask server for a score, and from network traffic it get DNS request. From that DNS request it gets its domains. It get the score of those domains from the server and updates its domain IP table, and from the DNS responses it maps those IP to those domain names, so that those IPs can be monitored too as well. And this database is updated by these plugins. In my case, my plugin was a web scraper which visited malwarebyteshost.com and other many websites for blacklist and whitelist of those domains. These are the main components of my client and my server. On the client side, I have created a DNS traffic parser, which actually analyze a whole traffic, but there is a specific component of it called DNS parser, which will analyze that DNS request and response. On the basis of that, it updates these two hash tables. One is domain score table, one is IP domain table, and these are also mapped with each other. I'm using two different threads for getting the score and one for receiving the response back from server. This whole communication is done in XML format. We use XML as a proper format to transfer data between server and client. On the server side, we have a connection manager. On the connection manager, I use 20 threads and a worker thread model to assign each thread a different work. And plugins update the database, and also this is a request manager which handles different requests. It also is based on worker thread model. Both of these get 20 and 20 threads, because you can't have infinite many threads for if there are a lot of requests coming to it. For the tools and technologies, the whole, as I already told you, in Juniper Networks, all the networking devices use C language, so I couldn't use anything other than C. But for the server side, it doesn't matter, so I used Java there, and C was a really challenging language to work with. These are some screenshots. Here my device is getting ready to sniffing the traffic, and here it captured one of the packets. And when I visited amazon.in, and here is the score returned to it. It's -1 for unknown, 0 for safe, and 1 for a black or malicious domain. This is the status of the server and server log. Of both the major learnings, well, I learned how multi-threaded models work. Actually, it was a good thing to learn about how the real life client and server communication should happen. I also learned how to create web scraper and how to program for XRX devices or Juniper devices specifically. Also learned how to analyze real life packets, real life data or real life data streams, so that further products can be made out of it. Most challenging about the multi-threading, because on the issue of data synchronization and shared memory and all. Also, that regular expressions were needed to properly clean that data coming from different sources and normalizing it to store it into the NoSQL database or MySQL database. Also, I am the biggest challenge is how to properly structure my code and structure my whole project for that it to have a proper client to server communication. Also, my mentor, she was really helpful. She taught me how to create functions properly in C and how to create function signatures so that they can be used by anybody and they are actually useful somewhere. So again, at Juniper Networks, it was a great experience. My mentor and my manager helped me a lot. It was my project. Thank you.